Alright, so this short video is going to explain the two IFC questions we had on the Pythagorean Theorem. Now, as a reminder, if you would like to see a video on this, there was a video from last year, and I'll try to put the link popping up right here. If you watch this video, and I'll put the link in the details as well, you'll be able to see more explanation explaining it. But basically, I'm just going to go over it. In general, there are two types of questions you need to know. There are leg type questions, meaning you're looking for one of the legs. Your leg is a side that is next to the 90-degree angle. Those are called legs. That's one type of question. This is not a leg question. In this question, we're looking for this side. These are called hypotenuses, the side across from the 90-degree angle. That's called your hypotenuse. So there's two types of questions. You're either going to be looking for a leg, which is one of these, or you'll be looking for hypotenuse. They're all hypotenuse type questions are the same. But in general, Pythagorean theorem is this. Plug in for what you know, solve for what you don't. A and B are always the legs, so I'm going to draw those arrows. So A and B are always your legs. It doesn't matter if you name them backwards. And C is always going to be your hypotenuse. So what we're going to do is we're going to plug in for what we know and solve for what we don't. So I color-coded everything to show you where it came from. And again, it doesn't matter if you get these backwards and switch those names A or B. They always solve the same. Anyways, this is the Pythagorean theorem. Just like all equation skills, we can't solve for C until we get C by itself, but we can't get C by itself until we evaluate this side. We know we can square these, and then we can add them together following the order of operations. So let's square them first. So if you square them, you get 64 and 36. Now it's time to add them together. And we got 100 equals C squared. Now, the last step in any type of Pythagorean theorem question is you're always going to have to get rid of the exponent on whatever one of these you were solving for. You have to get rid of that squared or that to the second power. And the only way to get rid of squared, to get rid of the second power, is to do its inverse operation. The opposite of squaring is square rooting. So that square root and the square, they cancel just like that. So on the right side, we're left with just C. On the left side, the square root of 100, well, that's 10. Technically, it's positive and negative 10, but a length of a side can't be negative. So it's just 10. And since we were solving for inches, it's 10 inches. That is the length of the missing side, 10 inches. So, final time, it was a hypotenuse type of question because we were looking for the hypotenuse, and the length of the hypotenuse was 10 inches. And number two, we weren't looking for the hypotenuse. We were looking for a leg. So number two is a leg type question. All leg type questions all solve exactly the same way. Let's plug in for what we know and solve for what we don't. Alright, so the first step is plug everything in, and the second step is, just like on this one, square everything that you can square. 10 squared is 100, so we can plug that in. And 15 squared is 225. Now we have this two-step equation. Get rid of that 100 and get rid of the squared. That cancels. So you're left with a squared equals 125, and quite a few students got this far, but then they forgot the final step because most students also weren't being neat and organized. The final step is square root both sides. That square root and that square cancel, so on the left side we're left with just a. Now on the right side, your instructions on this said to round to the nearest tenth. That means one number after the decimal. So I had to look over to see the instructions. Now, if you took the square root of this, you actually get approximately, that's the kind of equal to, 11.18, it keeps going. But that's all you need to write because it says round to the nearest tenth. Well, the 1 is in the tenths location, so you look at the next number to tell you. The next number tells you how to round. That 8 is going to tell you whether to round up or to stay. Because it's 5 or higher, that means round up. So A is approximately equal to 11.2, and it was in feet. So 11.2. That was the correct answer to this question. The answer to this question is A is approximately equal to 11.2 feet. So that's our last example for this video. Good job.